Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Jason Straight with the Pass Cloud Virtual Chapter. Today, we're here for a presentation from George Carlisle on building better business cases with Azure Cost Estimator. George has spent his career designing solutions for telecommunication service providers such as Ericsson, multinational enterprises like Hewlett-Packard, and the U.S. federal government. Currently, he lives in Maryland and is building a startup to participate in genomics, big data, and Internet of Things. Before I hand things over to George, there's a couple things I want to cover regarding our virtual chapter here. So the first thing is that we do have a number of upcoming webcasts. We've got in 2 weeks, Nico here with In Memory with Azure SQL Database. We got a Beginning Azure with Tom Norman. We got some performance tuning with John Starrett, Azure Data Factory, DR options with Azure, Cortana, Azure Streaming, and understanding the Azure Data Stack with Matan coming up in December. We do have some presentations that are going to be intermixed within those as well. So there is quite a wide breadth of topics coming up. If there is a topic that you're looking for at the end of today's webcast, there will be an opportunity to say what you're looking for, or if you're interested in presenting, there are still about a half dozen to a dozen spots open because we are doing weekly presentations through the end of the year. So feel free to volunteer to present to the user group. On to some past community news. We do have the PASS Summit 2016 coming up, where we've got 200 plus technical sessions from new and expert industry speakers, people talking about what they've experienced within data platforms and talking about new features that have come to SQL Server. It's a great opportunity to network, and if you're one of the people that, like myself, that talks to a lot of people in the data platform and SQL Server community online, this is a good opportunity to actually meet them in person. If you're looking for a discount for your registration, you can use VC15CHB6. That gets you a $150 registration discount off of the current registration cost. PASS is looking for nominations right now for the Passion Award. So if you know someone who has been passionate about SQL Server or our PASS organization, please submit them. The notification deadline is September 1st, 2016. And all you need to do is email to passionaward@sqlpass.org, the name, the community activities the person is doing, and notable accomplishments, and then why you feel that person deserves the award. If you do know somebody who has influenced you here in the past year when it comes to the SQL Server community, please feel free to nominate them. And this is a really great way to find some of those people that are helping out within the community. There is an Excel BI virtual chapter webinar series coming up. It is 4 back-to-back sessions starting at 5 o'clock p.m. UTC on August 16th, so check that out. The PASS Cloud Virtual Chapter is one of many virtual chapters that are out there. Whether you're looking for something that's in your own native language or you're looking for a session that covers a specific area or concept within the data platform, you can find probably something from one of those sessions that can help you out. If you are looking to volunteer for PASS, PASS is always looking for volunteers. There's plenty of ways to help the community grow. You can go to volunteer.sqlpass.org for more information and to look for some local opportunities. Now with that, I'd like to introduce George Carlisle with his presentation today, Building Better Business Cases with the Azure Cost Estimator. And so George, you can take it away here. I will make you presenter. There you go. And George, it's all for you now.
Okay, thank you. Can everybody hear me? If you can just give me a quick yes in the chat window, we can get this started. Let me get my screen started also. Can everybody hear me? I just want to make sure before we go.
I can still hear you pretty good, George, so I'm guessing that most of the attendees can.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So let me full screen this and we will get this started. All right, so here we are. We're trying to build stronger business cases using the Azure Cost Estimator. One of the things I want to say before we get started here, most of us know that the cloud is going to change lots of things that we're dealing with. The ability to price all of these new services, this is a great challenge that many of us are dealing with. Many of us are not only dealing with just the technical complexities of trying to stay on top of this, but trying to get quotes to customers to close sales. This is like a real challenge. Microsoft is changing their products probably every 2 years, and so there are some tools that can make your life a whole lot easier and help you be much more productive so that you can get over the finish line and close these deals. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk a little bit about the business case, business impact, and how to communicate this effectively. The cloud also changes that a little bit. Before, when we were doing on-premise, we wrote lengthy reports, sort of like some of these things you see here. These reports here on the right, they're generally written by salespeople. But because the cloud is so complex, the salespeople probably will not have the expertise to do this without a technical assistant. And so because of the changes in the cloud and some of the business changes, this is an opportunity for sharp technical people to redefine their value in their organizations and make a place for themselves in the new structure as we migrate to the cloud hybrid move to the cloud. So here, let's get started with, what basically, a strong business case is. The reason why I'm going through some of this is sort of rudimentary stuff, but I want to set a ground level on our discussion because some people may not have a finance background, some people may be strictly technical, and so just by touching this a little bit, I can give you some information to make things easier. I've also included a brief template that you can modify so that you can go in here and just close deals faster. So the main reason for a business case is really to just communicate the goals, the agenda for why you want to move to the cloud. Also, you want to sort of quantify what you're hoping to get out of this when you make this journey. To just move to the cloud, that's not a real valid reason. So there has to be reasons and expectations of what we're going to get out of this. So we're going to go through some of these tools and we'll discuss these a little bit further. But I included this template because if you have not written a business case, I've created, I've put in here a sample format that can help you do this if you ever want to just gain experience about writing a business case and communicating and just learning what salespeople deal with every day. So business impact, what is this? There's really two sections of this. In all deals, there's probably going to be a business impact and there's probably going to be a P&L impact that you're going to have discussions with the business decision maker, technical decision maker, possibly, depending on the scope of the organization, depending on their skill. The multinationals, probably the BDM and a TDM will have strong finance backgrounds so that you will have to make your case in those languages. So, just in short, business impact really discusses, increasing revenue. This could be a portfolio of products that you want to implement that may grow your business better. You may have, for example, X sales at $1 million and you want to get to $5 million. You're probably going to create some new products. That's going to require some investment. Anything related to those new products, that's classified as increases in revenue. Now, cash flow, this is sort of related to how do we manage this better? How do I put out less cash? This is, these are some things we know about. And this is the primary goal, the primary discussion line that we use now for going to the cloud. We tell customers, well, instead of you having to pay all up front, now you can go into a monthly subscription, and we have to communicate that in those ways. But both of these things mainly are classified as business impact discussions. Profit and loss, these are richer discussions, and these are where you want to get to if you can. Loss reduction, cost avoidance, operating cost and productivity. These are the three key areas of profit and loss that you will probably have discussions about. How you quantify these things can be a little bit complex, but this tool will help you make the case for these discussions. And of course, these slides will be posted, so this information will be available to you. But now we're going to go into, and I'm going to show you the graphical representations of some of these things. And if you have questions, just post them in the chat, and I'll be watching them. So here, this is basically an income statement. And in this income statement, you see here, I've highlighted where the top of the line is. This is basically where all the revenues that I had discussed in the business impact slide, this is where they'll all go. And anything in this area, this is what they're looking for in top of the line. Generally, business unit owners look at this, product line owners look at this. Now here at the bottom here, we have the bottom line. These are usually strictly financial people or operations type people. So here, what I've done here is for continuous improvement efforts, and this is what the cloud is, I have created a quick sheet that shows a template that you can use to quickly respond to customer inquiries. This sheet here basically is like a, it's just a template that you can use to make your case. You can budget. Don't put in exact numbers, of course, budget. So, budget in higher numbers. But this will let you, using the cost estimator, get something quickly to your customer so that you can stay in front of them and have a conversation with them. So here on the far left, we've got the continuous improvement items. This is basically, the sales, all the costs, some of the percentages, the KPIs people look at, business people look at. In the next one here, we have the business case, which is their existing business situation. What is their business now doing? These additional three cases are what they want to do, where they are trying to go. Now, each of these situations, as you notice here at the top, one has business impact and PNL. One has business impact. One has PNL. The discussion that the customer will choose is based solely on their business and the politics in their organization. Normally, multinationals will want the business impact and the PNL case one. And as you can see here, I've highlighted the two areas that you really need to get right when you're having these discussions. The BI is just, just the sales portion. PNL, we mentioned these are the operating costs. But this template will let you work quickly and help you get something to a customer without a whole lot of effort. Sort of like, rough order of magnitude pricing so that you can just keep your foot in the door and the customer stays interested. But ideally, in these pricing situations, you have to know your business culture. Business impact, P&L, is generally required. That is the sweet spot because that gives the most for the buck. But you have to know the business culture because some people don't run their business by the book. Going back to the slide here, in case 3 here, you notice it's like P&L. Most people manage their business instinctively from the P&L. If you notice, the operating costs are almost the lowest. The gross profits are almost the highest. This area is generally what most people run their business from. But case 1 is where you want to get them. This will give you benefits down the road. This will keep you inside of a customer. But let's get into the cost estimator because that's what this call is about. And this tool is quite amazing and it can do a lot of stuff. And so let's get into this. So here, instead of me going through, at the end here, we're going to have a little brief demo. I'm going to go through and answer and just show you how the tool works. But what I've done here is I've created some screenshots of this tool to just sort of let you see what this tool can do and how useful it is. So when you log into the Cost Estimator, also I have the web address for this, and we'll post that towards the end here just so you can get the tool. But when you start this tool up, you will have two choices. One, you can sit down with the customer and you can scan their environment to just get some samples. The other thing you can do is if you can do the pricing based on what you know. This tool can also do profiling, and we'll talk about that a little bit more too. But let's go into the scanning here and let's talk about this. So generally, we can start looking at a customer's network through a number of ways, depending on a variety of options. They can use, we can look at it through their System Center Virtual Manager. We can look through it through their Hyper-V. We can look through VMware, vCenter if they've got that. If they've got, HP equipment, it has the ESI integrated, so that you can just directly get to that. And then we also have bare metal situations, on Windows and Linux to profile and scan their machines. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what exactly goes on with the scanning and the profiling a little bit later. But here, this is the System Center. I want you to see what information is requested before it will do the scans. The profile durations can be anywhere between, I think, 1 time, 2 hours, to up to 4 weeks. I will explain why that's valuable later down the road. You can also set the frequency, and then you can set the reporting name. So this is what the screen will look like if you're trying to do scanning of a customer's environment through the System Center Virtual Manager. On the next screen here, this one is what it looks like if you're going through the Hyper-V. It's not much different here at all, but just, a little bit different. On the next screen here, we have vCenter, ESX. Not much different here. Now here, we are at the physical machines, the bare metal. And we have a number of options to make this work. We're Windows, Linux, you can scan by IP range. This machine, this tool can only scan up to 25 machines at a time. It's just for a baseline configuration. If you have to do more in depth, you're going to need to use the Microsoft Map tool to scan greater than 25 machines. But this tool will let you touch a customer's network and get enough information to do a baseline config. Let's see what the difference is. All right, so this one was Windows. Yeah, this is just bare metal. All right, so here, let me move this down here. So here's a little bit more discussion about the scanning notes. So basically, inside of this tool, there is an algorithm that is set up that will scan based on these 3 factors here: VMs allocated, cost optimized, or performance optimized. What does this mean? So basically what this means is that this tool can go in here and it can assess your workload that is running and emulate it into Azure and give you the costing for that emulation. So if you're using, let's say a Dell with 2 TB of RAM, the system can go in there and help you pick the right virtual machines inside of Azure and price those for you so that you don't have to do that. So this is a very, very useful tool in that sense, in that it can help you get tailored pricing that you probably couldn't get even if you guessed. So all you have to do when you do this is just choose whether it's going to be cost optimized, performance optimized, or VM allocated. Those are the 3 choices. And I put some descriptions here on what each of these are in a little more detail. So here are the caveats. For each of these environments, there are certain versions of software and certain requirements that you must have for this to run successfully. For the SCCM SCVMM, you can't run it on anything older than SQL Server, or not SQL, Windows Server 2008 R2. It cannot do Windows Server 2008. PowerShell remoting, the listener, must be enabled also. For Hyper-V, you gotta, you've got your Hyper-V has to be allowed through the firewall. Linux SSH has to be enabled. Has to be running on IP. With ESXi down here, you notice here it says you have to have version 5.5. So this is a good sheet to remember when you're talking with the customer. It's allow you to have more credibility and help move them along to do the scanning and the profiling. So let's talk about the repository here. So once you do these scans, this information is stored in a couple of places. The reports, all the reports that you run, they're stored, and you can go back and if you can just remember the days, you'll be able to search and find the reports. The logs that are generated down here, see where it says view logs, those are all stored down here in the Azure profile on your local machine, or whichever machine where you're storing this. So if the customer wants to look at what's actually going on, or you want to see what's actually going on, you can go there and take a look. So let's talk about the estimator. I think I should have moved a little slide deck here, down here. So now we're down here. We're down here now to choose your environment. All right. So down here, so up here at the top here, as we do these cost estimates, we have 4 screens here that are helpful. We've got all of your cost estimates that you've built. We've got some sample scenarios. We've got services, and then we've got private scenarios. I'll talk about all these and what these mean. So let's go through these. So included in the sample scenarios, we have 8 of them. The first one here is the 250 remote app users, for information workers. This is just the rough cost for this monthly. Here in the second one, we've got the basic SharePoint farm. This includes the enterprise SQL Server license. This is roughly what it cost. In the third one here, we've got the high availability SharePoint farm, which also includes the enterprise license. And this is how much it costs monthly. And then finally, on the first 4, we've also got all Office 365 SSO integration components deployed on Azure with high availability configuration. So these are the monthly costs roughly for these sample scenarios. Some other sample scenarios here are dev test with 25 VMs. This is the rough cost. Here on the second one, we've got the common infrastructure that's included with VPN and 5 TB egress bandwidth in zone 1. So let me explain the zones. Inside of Azure, there are 3 primary zones. I think the US, Canada, Americas are zone 1. Europe is zone 2. And I think Asia is zone 3. But each of these zones affect how the bandwidth and the pricing is, so I just want to mention that. In the third scenario here, we've got the common infrastructure that includes VPN and 1 TB egress in bandwidth zone 1 also. And then finally, we've got 50 protected VMs with DR on-premise to Azure. And so this gives you the rough cost. I personally have never used any of these, but these scenarios, when you start to create your own, you can have them put into the sample scenarios, and we'll talk about that a little bit further, and we'll go through that in the demo too. So inside the services now, this is where we get to the bulk of everything that we want to create here. At the top here, I think we've got 2 pages. We've got here the compute, the web, the data, analytics, the networks, the hybrid integration, the identity and access, the virtual machines, all, cloud services, all of these things that we can configure just like you do on the web tool, but this one is offline, so that you can work with us offline. In addition, we've got media and CDN, we've got developer services, management. You can see more options, scheduler, automation, operations, key vault, IoT hub, security center. This tool, it's got a lot of features in here, and you can price almost everything in this. So now we're down to the scenarios here, and so we'll talk about this briefly. So in this, as I mentioned before, in each of these scenarios, you can do private scenarios where you can price out a number of different scenarios based on whatever your requirements are, wherever. You can just do almost any arrangement you want with this. Notice here also you can import scenarios, so that if you save previous ones offline, you can just bring them back in, add them up, and we'll go through and I'll show you what some of these scenarios look like. I've saved a couple on my computer, and I'll just let you see how you can manipulate them in Excel and what the files look like. So here, these are the currencies, right? If you're multinational, if you're dealing with a multinational, or you're a multinational business, you're going to have to deal with currencies when you're pricing these services, because the people who pay for these services, their cost centers, are not going to be, it's not going to be one cost center. It could be all over the world, each division. The big companies, they're not run by the same people. So I think there are 24 currencies that are currently supported in Azure currently right now, and this is the list here. So at this point here, to let you get access to the download, I'm going to have the URL posted into the chat window here for you to see where you can download this at. Let me see if I can see it in the chat there. And it gets posted. You should be able to click on it in there when it gets posted. Oh, that's right. I'm the presenter now, so I got to post it in there. Hold on. That's funny. Just a second. Well, I'll get that posted in here as we're working through this. But one of the other things I want to mention too, are any of you familiar with the Microsoft Cloud Platform University online? This is different than the Microsoft Cloud Platform University. The Cloud Platform University is a bunch of training that went on around the country. Some of it is also data university, but these are classes that are helping you to stay abreast of the technology. But the Cloud Platform University online classes are more business focused, so that you talk about positioning the products. If you're smart during the classes, you also build pricing models. You basically become familiar enough with these services so that you can price these tools. So I encourage you to register for those classes. I'm going to post the links for both of these shortly, because these are useful tools. So let me just take a minute here and post both of these URLs so that we can get that in the chat so that you guys can take a look at that. Just give me a minute here. Then we'll go to the demos.
George, I've got them
Yes.
posted.
Although, I cannot see them in the chat. Oh, okay, there you go. Got it. Sorry. Let me just make this bigger. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Got them all both out there for you.
Okay, great. All right. Well, that makes things easier. Thanks a lot. Okay, so back to the demo here. So let's open this tool up and let's go through here. If you want to see particular pricing situations, price scenarios, post into the chat. I'll be happy to walk through and answer any questions related to this. This last half hour is going to be all demo, so ask your questions. Let me get this open here a little bit bigger. over to the left. Here's the cost estimator. Here we go. We go into this tool. So I'm going to go through here, and I'm just going to price a couple of things here. Let's start with Express Route. So a lot of customers are going to probably want that service. Let me just walk through what some of this looks like. Let's create a scenario. We're going to call this Express Route US. We're going to hit, well, actually, let me add the services to this. Networking, Express Route. We're going to do unlimited. We're going to choose a data center. Actually, you know, one of the things I forgot to show here. Let me show you where you set the currency at, because that's important. Gosh. Express Route, networking, unlimited. All right, so in the Express Route services, we can choose these number of services. Express Route is a, you know, this service basically connects people directly to Microsoft's data center. I don't know if any of you are familiar with what old circuits used to cost. They used to cost, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. Even the highest service here at 10 gigabytes is only like $8,000. Well, I don't think it's 8,000. It's a little bit more than that. But let me show you some prices for this. So we're going to just choose US West. We're going to choose 50 megs. We're going to choose no for premium. We're just going to say, let's pick a city, San Francisco. Description, we're going to add that. Let's add another one here. Now this tool will let you add a number of things without even changing. Let's do the high-end service too. So here we're going to do 10 gig. See the price for that? 51,300. As you know, I want to make some comments about some of this stuff too. As a technical person, some of the information that's in here is extremely valuable because the cloud's changing a lot of stuff. You get a chance to go through this tool and find out what the most profitable parts of this cloud business are. Never before have we had the chance to really see which of these areas are the most profitable. You know, you made a decision in school, you know, to be a computer scientist or data scientist or engineer or database administrator, but you just did it because you had skill. Now you can choose and make your career decisions based on what these services cost, because these are probably the most profitable and the most on demand. So networking is still a very, very valuable service. And so that's, you know, this is another area that you should look at. Media, encoding. You know, here's another example here. Let's go through US Central, encoding units, standard versus premium, basic. Encoding units up to 100. I think we can go to 1,000. Let's do, let's see what let's call this. Media project. It's like some of the numbers aren't in. Here in the analytics, we can price various stuff here. In the data factory, we can do cloud versus on-premise. Activities a month, let's say we got 50. Let's say, you know, ISIS on-prem. I wonder why the prices aren't showing here. High frequency data move, these are the inactive pieces. Gotta write that down for trouble ticket. The event hubs we can see prices for, let's see here, 1,000. You can see some of the cost here, $28 per month. IoT hub. Machine learning, let's say we got 50 seats, 52 seats. Machine learning project. We can also choose whether we do studio or API access. Let's just flip through and see what these look like, price difference. Studio $744, APIs $1488. HD Insight. Let's choose the D4, Windows 50 units. Hours 744. 91,586. Just add that. Let's take a look at some of these VMs. US East. Number of options in here. Now let's choose this one. This is a 16-core, 112 gigabyte RAM, 800 gig SSD. Standard or basic. Do 2 instances. Call this SMB server. Add 2. SQL Server. Central. Let's just choose 8 cores. We've got lots of options here. Look at this. We can go up to 32 cores with 448 gigabytes of RAM. 6 gig, or well, that's 6 TB. 6 TB SSD. InfiniBand, if you want that option. Actually, there's some nice options. I didn't even know about InfiniBand. All right, so let's choose that. Enterprise. 5, usage, cluster. So that's about the InfiniBand here. So we're going to add this, my scenarios. For some reason here, I must have misconfigured. I should have defined the scenario here. Okay, all right, so this is where I think I messed up. Save. We're going to do save as. There we go. Customer, SMB, customer, 1. Let's save that. This should work better now. All right. Export scenario. So here I've exported some scenarios already. I'll put this one in here, but we're going to go look at these, and I'll show you what these look like. Export scenario, SMB 1. This format's in XML. So now we're going to open Excel. There are a number of format options that you can choose to look at this when you open these files, once you export them. Just let this boot up here for a second. So let's look at one of these XML. So I think this was one I opened here. And this was the straight XML import scenario. So here you could export this to Excel. You know, what I did last year was I went through and priced out all of the services so that I could do modeling, and I basically brought all of them into Excel so that I could model and put margins on all of them and just make sure that my business was profitable. Microsoft wants you to go in there and sell these services, but I need to make sure I make money on them. So I did models on all of these products to try to just get an idea of just what these solutions are going to cost for customers, and if it's really cheaper, and how I talk this to the customer. So in here, we've got here currency ID, we've got ID, we've got dev test, we've got the name of the service, we've got the time it was created, we've got the subcategories, we've got regions, got the description and the total service cost. So this is what an XML format looks like. Let me show you another one. Close. Let's do source. So this is the XML source. Or it was. Let me try this again. Maybe I have to open this directly. Yeah, there we go. So this pane is what you'll get prompted when you open the XML. And so the first one that I opened was the XML table. I can get a read-only version. Let me show you what the source of the XML source pane looks like. So over here on the right, it's the same thing, but it's all in XML. So here's another way to look at this if you want to. I just wanted to just show you all the options that you can do with this tool and what's available. See if there are any questions. No questions here. All right, so we're going to keep going. Let me go back to this pricing tool and do some more configurations here. All right, so here we go. So this is where okay, all right. God, this is where I should have mentioned. This is where I should have put the customer. So that scenario there, I should have just put as express route. All right, I did this a little bit wrong. So this is where you specify the customer. You come into the cost estimate, you specify the customer here. So here I would have put SMB customer 2, right? Then I would have chose the currencies here, right? So let's just do this in, what do we want to do today? Let's try Korean won, right? Let's see what that's going to cost us today. All the currencies. Scenario 1, we're going to do Seoul, Korea. Now some other options. We can also classify these our designs as either dev, test, staging, or production. The support plans here. Developer, I think that's like 29. Actually, let me flip this back because I want you to see the U.S. prices. So here for the developer, it's $29 USD. Standard is $300. Professional Direct is $1,000 per month. Premier, this is custom pricing. Maximize uptime, blah, blah, blah. Running infrastructure, please contact us, basically, unlimited, unlimited problem resolution, listen to that. But anyways, so I'm putting the customer here, Samsung, number 13. All right, so we save this. Oh, I think because I got special characters in there. Let's do this. All right, here we go. All right, there we go. All right. Okay, so then we can add services to this. All right, so there we go. So then we should be able to choose what we want to add to this. So let's do this again. So we're going to choose, let me see here, what's close to Korea. Let's do European West, actually Asia Pacific. Asia Pacific East, I think that's, actually I think Japan will be closer to them. All right, so we're going to do Japan. Whew. Boy, I bet that's going to be expensive. Let's do Japan West. We'll do reserve IP address. We're going to do one quantity. Well, actually, this is for IP, so this is 6. We're going to do express route. Do unlimited. Japan West. 1 gig. Premium. $11,700 per month at that location. So now let's see, we go back to this and we should be able to generate do this. What is this? Oh, I must have another window open. There we go, view. Then we can just select the scenario that we want to add to this, add to the cost estimate. Production. Generate estimate, there we go. So what we did here, just a quick recap, we created 2 scenarios, then I added the 2 scenarios to my cost estimate. And now it's taking those 2 services that I added, Samsung, and it's putting this into a spreadsheet. And so let's see what it's done. So this is the output. I need to. Boy, this is good. Boy, this is so good. So I need to sit down here and do one more thing. I need to figure out how to get custom images into this one. Custom images. All right. So you see up here at the top here, you've got your little branding. We've got the prices for the MOSPA. We've got the location. So I had one service that was staging, unlimited. You know, this is the express route that I chose. Shows the region. I guess I didn't put in the quantity, but I've got the price. But this is a nice, neat format that you can quickly turn around to customers. That's a whole lot easier than trying to do this by hand. Let's see what the second scenario is. So here I got a production scenario. Use the, I popped in there my new scenario, that one I didn't change. This is all that stuff that I configured early. The express route, the HDN site, the virtual machines, and the SQL. We've got the quantities, the usage, the descriptions, price, scenario cost, support level included, what you can do. I wonder if Microsoft will let us augment that with our own services, our branded services, but I think that's a good one. I wonder if we can do branded CSP. I'll add that to the list. And that gives the data as price, and then it gives other information about, this is confidential, you can't share this with anybody. Let me just see what else is in here. Oh, there's some other stuff too. All right, hold on. Move this over. So we got a summary. What's on the summary? Oh, there we go. So then we get a breakout. So here we got the breakout of the compute, the web mobile, data storage, all these other services. They're individually broken out so that a customer can get it at a glance. So we've got aggregated and breakout summaries. That's pretty good. So the solution is only $1 million, $1.5 million. Are you ready to buy? All right, so that basically shows, in a quick nutshell, just how the cost estimator works. Again, if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them now. But that is the walkthrough through the pricing cost estimator for Windows Azure. Any questions or comments?
Hi, George. We don't have any new questions, but I do have a comment. This is great. I used this a few times back when I was consulting, and it's nice to see that this thing is moving along, picking up all the new products as they're showing up. It's nice that Microsoft's keeping it up to date.
Yeah, this tool, it's really helpful. Like I said, just keeping up with the technical is the hard part, but when you try to price these services, it is just so complex that without this tool, it's just impossible to respond.
Absolutely.
And this tool will just save you a lot of effort if you can spend the time. The way I structured this so that you could just walk through this presentation and just see how to do this correctly. But you can see just, you could do currency, which is a big deal. Instead of you having to fool around with currency conversions, this tool will do it for you. You can price services. You can price dev, staging, test, production, and you have access to the whole portfolio of all those products. So instead of you having to build all that in your own spreadsheets, it's already done for you.
Yeah, this is great. Well, thanks for presenting here today, George. Since we don't have any new questions here, I think we can go ahead and wrap things up, and I'll get the video for this and the slide decks posted shortly.
Very good.
All right.
All right, thanks all for attending. Hope you guys have a great day.
Yep, thanks. Bye, everyone.